This page is a strategy guide special for Nintendo 64 games, featuring Sin and Punishment as the main highlight. It mentions guides and information for various games including Banjo-Tooie, Pokemon Snap, Custom Robo V2, Perfect Dark, and Mario Party 3. There are also mentions of Shiren the Wanderer 2, Onibushi Kyorai, Mega Man Legends, and Mario Tennis for Game Boy, along with Tales of Fantasia, Narrated Dungeon, which was only released in Japan. The page also includes a section discussing the upcoming Game Boy Advance and its potential impact. The magazine issue is dated January 2001 and priced at 1,490 yen. The image features characters and gameplay from Sin and Punishment. This page is the contents for the January issue, highlighting the big feature, Dengeki Great Strategy 2000 Super Guide for the winter holiday season. This guide covers several N64 games including Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, Shiren the Wanderer 2, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark, and Pokemon Stadium 2. There are also sections covering Game Boy titles like Dragon Quest II, GameCube software, and previews of Game Boy Advance games. Regular magazine features such as reader submissions, previews, and cheat codes are also listed. Finally, there is an index of all games featured in this issue. This page is an advertisement from Kemco showcasing new products for the Game Boy Color, specifically Pokemon-themed accessories. There's a Pikachu protector for the Game Boy, designed to protect it from scratches and bumps. It's priced at 980 yen and was slated for release on December 14th. They also advertise Pikachu and Togepi Game Boy Link cables, also priced at 1,980 yen, and a character change kit for Link cables, allowing you to swap the character figures on the cable ends, priced at 980 yen. The ad emphasizes the cuteness of Pichu and the ability to change Pokemon characters on the Link cables. This page is a contents page highlighting strategy guides for various Nintendo 64 games. Featured are walkthroughs and tips for 8 different titles. It includes a guide to Stage 2 of the Japan-exclusive title Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, and a guide to hidden dungeons and secret techniques for Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2. There's also a fast walkthrough up to Stage 3 for Banjo-Tooie, and the second part of an in-depth strategy for Perfect Dark. The page also promotes a guide for Pokemon Stadium 2, highlighting the fun of the Pokestay and Stadium modes. For Custom Robo V2, there is a focus on the Fierce Battle chapter and customization. Mario Party 3 features minigame strategies to help players excel against friends. Finally, there's a guide covering mid-game dungeons and missions for Mega Man Legends. This page is a year-end special edition looking forward to the 21st century and covers Nintendo 64 games, from releases in the autumn all the way up to upcoming December releases. It promises to review a lot of games in one go, guaranteeing you will be able to clear them with their help. The page highlights several games. First is Dance Dance Revolution Disney Dancing Museum, promising a step-by-step guide with footwork. It received a score of 60. Then there's Mario Tennis GB, which teaches the rules and tips for raising strong characters, and it received a score of 64. Next is Tales of Fantasia Narrated Dungeon, offering tips for raising characters and data strategies to become a master, with a score of 66. Finally, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Children, subtitled Red Book and Black Book, recommends demon companions and received a score of 68. The top of the page also features Pokemon characters like Pikachu, Wooper, Togepi, Pichu, Croconaw, and Cyndaquil. At the bottom, there is a section called End of Century Strategy Poignant Manga, which consists of manga panels seemingly about relationship problems related to video games. This page is a strategy guide for the N64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, focusing specifically on Stage 22. The article emphasizes mastering the basic controls and game systems before tackling the stage. It highlights 3 key strategic rules: understanding the controls, knowing how to move as intended, and mastering rolling and double jumps. The guide then details essential gameplay mechanics. Movement. It explains rolling and double jump as crucial techniques for evading enemy attacks and changing direction. Shooting. It describes 2 types of shooting: manual shots, which are powerful but require aiming, and lock-on shots, which are weaker but don't need precise aiming, ideal for evasion. Counterattacks. The guide stresses the importance of counterattacks to deal with fast-moving enemies when regular attacks are ineffective. Several screenshots demonstrate these techniques in action. The page advises players to thoroughly learn these basic controls and strategies to conquer the challenging gameplay, particularly in Stage 22. This guide focuses on essential gameplay elements of the Japan-exclusive Nintendo 64 game, Sin and Punishment. It emphasizes item collection and the importance of the hit count mechanic, which grants extra credits for continues. Saving strategically is crucial, as the number of continues is tied to credits at the save point. Item drops are dynamic, adjusting based on player health and time remaining. The guide also details how to unlock the hidden OPT mode by clearing the game on any difficulty. This mode features a BGM player, alert sound toggles, and subtitle settings for demo scenes. Clearing the game on easier difficulties may be necessary to access all OPT mode features, suggesting secrets tied to harder difficulties. This page is a strategy guide for Stage 00 of the N64 game Sin and Punishment, a Japan-only release. It breaks down the stage into enemy encounters, swarms of insects, B-type ruffians, and centipede-act ruffians. The guide emphasizes defeating enemies quickly to avoid being eaten and losing time. For the centipede ruffian, it highlights attacking the head as the weak point and using lock-on for easier targeting. Smaller centipedes can be slashed to defeat them. Be aware that centipede ruffians self-destruct after 60 seconds. The target for this stage is a score of 370,000 points, 255 hits, and completion within 3 minutes and 10 seconds. The strategies are for normal difficulty, and the guide notes that easier difficulties use the same strategies. This guide details Stage 11 of the Japan-exclusive N64 game, Crime and Punishment, Successor to the Earth. The stage walkthrough, broken down into 9 steps, involves navigating enemy encounters and environmental challenges to reach the final boss. Players begin facing soldiers and barricades, then must contend with airplane raids, rock-based enemies, and flame obstacles. Mid-boss fights include a crab seeker and a one-on-one battle against a soldier. The stage culminates in a boss fight against the red flying machine, whose core is its weak point. Normal tips focus on strategic shooting and target bonuses, while warning tips caution against enemy attacks and projectiles. Players should utilize lock-on attacks and double jumps to survive. Stage objectives are to achieve a score of 2,700,000 points, land 500 hits, and complete the stage within 8 minutes. This page is a strategy guide for Stage 12 of Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth. It breaks down the stage into numbered steps, starting with Elevator Start, followed by Elevator Stop First Time, and Elevator Stop Second Time. It highlights key enemy encounters like Flying Carrier Raid and bosses such as Muchio Toko, Whipman, Radan, and Mossy Seamer, culminating in a boss battle with Kachua herself. The guide emphasizes understanding enemy attack patterns to defeat them effectively before they can attack. It warns about missiles and laser cannons, advising players to jump to avoid laser attacks. It also gives tips on using pipes to defeat enemies by rolling them. The page highlights the importance of lock-on attacks and counterattacks. It specifically mentions that regular attacks are ineffective against Kachua, and players should utilize melee attacks against her, focusing on her head and being mindful of her invincible state. The overall goal is to clear the stage within 12 minutes and achieve a score of 6,800,000 points and a 670 hit combo. The next page is a strategy guide for the boss Kachua, from the N64 game Sin and Punishment, Star Successor, which was only released in Japan. This guide focuses on defeating Kachua and highlights that this stage is a one-on-one battle. It emphasizes memorizing Kachua's attack patterns, noting there are 3 main patterns and 4 attack types within the first pattern to learn quickly. The guide breaks down the attack patterns and provides counter strategies. Pattern 1 focuses on 4 attacks: a horizontal sweep, a vertical sweep, a stronger horizontal sweep, and a shot attack. It suggests jumping to avoid the horizontal sweep, moving left and right to evade the vertical sweep, and sidestepping to dodge the shot attack. Pattern 2 details a transformation where Kachua shrinks in size. It describes 3 attacks during this phase: a wave attack, a true vacuum wave attack, and a dragon attack. It recommends double jumping to avoid the wave attack, slashing to negate the true vacuum wave, and that items may appear from it, and watching out for the dragon attack's swift movements. Pattern 3 focuses on dodging left and right. It mentions red homing shots that require timing to avoid, recommending lock-on for aiming during this phase. The guide also advises using rolling to evade attacks, and suggests revisiting basic training if players are struggling, emphasizing the importance of rolling, slashing, and double jump techniques for overcoming this challenging boss. The next page is a strategy guide for Stage 21 of Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, a Japanese-exclusive N64 game. The guide breaks down the stage into 10 sections, providing tips for each. It highlights key gameplay elements like using jump and movement effectively, and defeating giant laser cannons. The guide emphasizes destroying enemies from the edge of the screen inwards, and being cautious of enemy attacks, particularly from an enemy called Rita, who uses bombs. There's advice on dealing damage, focusing on shooting laser cannons, and targeting bonus items. The guide also gives specific instructions for dealing with normal beam attacks, advising players to jump to avoid them, and giant laser cannon attacks, suggesting methods to destroy them efficiently. The page includes screenshots illustrating gameplay and enemy encounters, along with tips for target bonuses. This page provides gameplay tips for Sin and Punishment. It details strategies for boss encounters and navigating levels. Firstly, it explains how to defeat the Anemone Seeker boss, which involves destroying its 4 legs to reveal 3 cores, then attacking these cores. The cores behave differently depending on how many are exposed, with varied bullet patterns. In normal mode, the legs regenerate, requiring constant leg destruction. Next, it gives passage navigation advice, recommending rolling and double jumps to avoid obstacles. Narrow passages with pillars should be navigated carefully, while wider areas benefit from double jumps. The page also warns of ring-shaped beams in stages featuring ring seekers, especially in normal mode, requiring players to position themselves at the edge of passages to dodge effectively. Finally, the page offers a strategy for the Brad and Rena boss fight. It suggests focusing attacks on Rena first, while keeping Brad under control. In normal mode, both bosses attack more frequently. After defeating Renata, Brad can be defeated by parrying his attacks using shot button presses. The core strategy for normal mode remains similar but emphasizes careful control and avoiding rushing into attacks due to the increased aggression of the bosses. This page is a strategy guide for Stage 22 of the N64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, which was only released in Japan. The page highlights key strategies for this stage, emphasizing that it's a long stage requiring persistence. Important scenes to watch out for are scenes 3, 7, 11, and 12, including boss encounters. The goal is a score of 19 million, aiming for 1100 hits within 31 minutes. The guide breaks down the stage flow into 12 sections, including aerial combat, turret sections, encounters with red fighters, water pillars, birdmen, reverse battles, robot machinery, vertical drops, and giant rocket battles. It advises players to utilize lock-on against distant enemies, fight in the center of the screen as a basic tactic, and seize opportunities when enemies use tackle attacks. Normal rolling is recommended frequently. Specific enemy attack patterns are described, such as Vulcan attacks and homing beam attacks, with advice on how to evade them using jumps and rolling. The guide also details strategies for missile turrets, counterattacking opportunities, and using rolling effectively. The next page details combat strategies for Star Soldier, Vanishing Earth. Section 7 emphasizes learning enemy attack patterns early on, particularly for the 3 small robots and larger robots, advising players to destroy them one by one while dodging incoming projectiles with jumps and using lock-on attacks. Section 10 highlights unique scenes found in normal difficulty, focusing on battles against Century Machinery battleships. It warns about giant battleships using missiles, and advises players to utilize counterattacks against the missiles. Destroying the battleships triggers the appearance of 3 robots. The section also points out that in normal difficulty, new attack patterns are added, including stomp attacks and barrages of bombs and light bullets, requiring players to be more cautious. Section 11 delves into strategies for fighting Brad's battleship, stating it appears with 5 support units, and uses 4 main attack patterns that cycle repeatedly. It recommends focusing attacks on Brad's battleship and learning its attack patterns. The page then breaks down Brad's battleship's 4 attack patterns. Missile attack, advising to not stand directly in front and attack from a safe position. Body blow, suggesting rolling to evade. Beam attack, blue, where Brad fires beams, best avoided by attacking Brad directly. And beam attack, red, from 5 support units, advising to prioritize destroying the support units first, as they are easier to defeat. This page is a strategy guide focused on the giant aerial battleship battle against the awakened Saki from the Nintendo 64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth. It's described as a major mid-game challenge. The page details 5 key attack patterns to master for this boss fight. The first strategy is to quickly destroy the gun turrets before they can fire. The second tactic involves utilizing the central gap to shoot missiles back at the boss. Thirdly, It's recommended to focus on reliably destroying one side of the gun turrets. The fourth attack pattern involves completely destroying the electromagnetic waves that the boss emits. Finally, the guide advises destroying the awakened Saki before her bullets hit you. The page also includes normal strategies, mentioning that the bullet trajectories change during the fight. It highlights jumping as a method to evade laser attacks due to their wide horizontal sweep. There's a bonus tip for scoring extra points. After destroying all 4 electromagnetic waves, rapidly press the attack button to destroy the core of the giant battleship. This rewards players with a large bonus. The guide emphasizes that mastering these strategies is crucial for overcoming this challenging mid-game boss encounter. This page is an exclusive developer interview for the game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth. It features interviews with Miyakawa Masato, the president of Treasure, and Nintendo Development Department 1 staff members Harada Takahiro and Yamagami Hitoshi, who discuss the origins of Sin and Punishment and secrets of the characters in training mode. The interview delves into how Treasure and Nintendo collaborated on the game after previous N64 titles, like Yuk Yuk, Troublemakers, and Bakuretsu Muteki Bangayo. They aim to create a more mature atmosphere compared to typical Nintendo games, focusing on gameplay and deep satisfaction. Screenshots on the page showcase the training mode and characters. One section talks about the secret characters appearing in training, including the mysterious round character and Anpan, described as Anko-chan's father, a former bread soldier. It also mentions characters like Jajamupan and Maranpan from past Treasure games, suggesting these round characters are related bread soldiers, or panheiki. The developers mention that Sin and Punishment was made to appeal to older players who might have drifted away from Nintendo games, hoping to reignite their interest in the N64. They also highlight the game's treasure-like qualities while maintaining a Nintendo polish. This page is an interview with the developers of the N64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth. The discussion revolves around why they chose to create a gun-shooting action game in 3D, given the challenges of the genre at the time, rather than a role-playing game or other action styles. They explain that 3D action games could easily become unfocused, but they aimed for a game system where gun-shooting gameplay would work effectively in 3D. The developers highlight how the N64 controller was crucial to the game's design, influencing the button layout and control scheme, allowing for both left and right-handed players. They mention that the game's system might not have been possible without the specific features of the N64 controller. The interview touches upon the game's difficulty, clarifying that their goal was to make it highly playable rather than simply reducing the challenge. They aimed for a difficulty level where players could progress far and enjoy the experience, adjusting it based on feedback and playtesting. The page also includes a section explaining the term Lufian from the game's lore. Lufians are described as a new species that emerged due to environmental changes, characterized by rapid breeding and predatory behavior, posing a threat to humanity. The screenshot shows gameplay action from Sin and Punishment. Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, a Japan-exclusive N64 game, focused on challenging gameplay by emphasizing enemy attack patterns and player skill. The game features factions like the child-led Hunter Squad and the US-based Rescue Squad, with a surprisingly deep story meant to complement the action. The game is expanding into other media with game novels and manga adaptations from MediaWorks, with the novel Successor of the Earth detailing the pre-story events. The game used American voice actors for nuanced performances and expressed subtle script differences. Developers hinted at sequel possibilities, dependent on the original game's success. The next page is a strategy guide for the Hidden Dungeon of the Shrine in Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2. This post-game dungeon is all about capturing monsters to become your allies. The guide highlights 2 key strategies. First, it explains how to send captured monsters to the Monster Kingdom, and then summon them back to fight alongside you. Second, it mentions that monsters you capture in this dungeon can be encountered again in later areas. The guide also talks about leveling up your monster companions. It focuses on monsters appearing up to the 60th floor, and lists various monsters you'll encounter between floors 1 to 20, breaking it down into 5 floor sections. A specific monster called Tabura Lair is mentioned as being weak, but useful for leveling up other monsters. Lastly, it touches upon monster HP and how to heal them using the Monster Pot item. This page is a strategy guide for a dungeon-crawling RPG, very likely Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2 Oni Mound Village on the N64, which was Japan exclusive. It gives tips on monster companions, highlighting how useful they are in dungeons. The guide recommends taking monsters like archdragons and mazarins with you, listing specific monster types and where to find them in areas like Shuten Mountain and Onigashima. It explains you can catch monsters in various dungeons and level them up using items. For water-based monsters, it details how to use a water jar to catch them easily when they're out of water. The guide also mentions riding monsters to fight battles as a way to boost experience points. Finally, it notes that you can obtain equipment, like armor from Kangofu-type monsters and bracelets from Norcon types, in the God's Hidden Cave dungeon. The page then lists monsters that appear on different dungeon floors, ranging from levels 21 to 60, giving players an idea of what to expect as they delve deeper. It's a helpful page for players looking to master the monster collecting and dungeon crawling aspects of this N64 RPG. The next page is a guide for Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion, Shiren Castle, a Japan-only release for the N64 year. It gives tips on using traps and statues to gain experience and defeat monsters effectively in dungeons. Point 1 explains how to create trap chains to maximize experience points by setting up one-way traps and linking them with damage and non-damage traps. Point 2 advises leveling up by defeating monsters of the same type and using revolving traps to confuse monsters and let them fight each other. Point 3 introduces one-shot kill traps like the Daro Daro Hot Spring Trap, Pitfall Trap, Landmine, and Large Landmine, recommending saving them for strong monsters as damage traps become less effective in deeper dungeons. Finally, Point 4 discusses utilizing statues like the Tumble Statue for items, Aina Statue for attacking monsters, and Sleep Statue to put all monsters in a room to sleep. It highlights the effectiveness of using large room scrolls in combination with statues to amplify their effects in large rooms. This guide for Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2, focuses on strategic trap use. Airborne monsters are immune to ground traps, requiring direct attacks. Food scarcity in dungeons is addressed by using traps like Delicious Swamp to create rice balls. Shiren must manually step on traps to activate them. Spring and pitfall traps are useful escape tools. The guide advises against throwing certain traps. Summoning switch traps increase enemy numbers, and flood traps damage Shiren. A table details various trap effects, including damage, instant death, status effects, item drops, and unique transformations. These range from common damage traps to specialized options like the Monster Trap, which turns items into monsters. This page showcases gameplay techniques for Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion, Shiren Castle, a roguelike RPG released exclusively in Japan for the Nintendo 64. The page provides 8 essential tips to help players navigate the game. Technique 1 introduces Himakichi, a companion who can reflect projectiles back at monsters. Technique 2 focuses on Riku, another ally who can draw enemy attention, acting as a shield for Shiren. Technique 3 emphasizes the importance of equipping Asuka, a party member, with her dedicated equipment to boost her abilities. Technique 4 explains Marmo's role in storing up to 10 important items for safekeeping. Technique 5 highlights Kira, who can attack monsters from a distance using fire. Technique 6 advises players on how to remove cursed equipment using sushi traps. Technique 7 details how to use monster traps to gain experience points. And Technique 8 explains methods to evade or neutralize traps using items like water pots. These techniques aim to assist players in mastering the game's mechanics and utilizing their companions effectively. This page delves into the synthesis system in Fushigi no Dungeon, Furai no Shiren 2, released only in Japan on the N64. It explains how to combine items and imbue them with special imprints to create more powerful equipment. The page details techniques such as using Mazalan synthesis in the warehouse, employing white paper scrolls to increase imprint slots, and utilizing multiple branches in synthesis. A large table lists various imprints and their effects when applied to swords and shields. These imprints offer a range of benefits, from HP recovery and increased defense to monster-specific damage and utility effects like sleeping monsters or revealing mimicry. The guide also showcases specific synthesized items and their creation methods, like the Sword of Recovery, Fire Rapid Wind Demon Sword, and Satori's Pickaxe, giving players insight into the strategic depth of item synthesis in the game. This page is focused on tips and techniques for the golden rooms in the game, which appears to be Fushigi no Dungeon, Furai no Shiren 2, Oni Shirai, Shiren-jo, a Japan-only N64 release. It highlights the rarity of golden rooms, noting they contain valuable items but are hard to find. The page details strategies for navigating these rooms, such as using large room scrolls to reveal the entire floor layout and locate the golden stairs. It mentions weapon synthesis as a technique, and methods for escaping dungeons and returning to Nitane Village. There's a section on essential items to overcome pinches, listing items like Bakusui Scroll, Fire and Ember Scroll, Division Scroll, Grass of Revival, and Staff of Paralysis, explaining their uses in difficult situations within dungeons. Finally, it describes riding monsters as a tactic, allowing players to control monsters and utilize their abilities for combat and traversal. It mentions using a branch of riding item to achieve this. The page emphasizes that golden rooms are full of valuable items, but entering them is difficult, and using large room scrolls makes exploration easier. This page is a guide for gameplay techniques and item identification within a roguelike dungeon crawler, likely related to the Mystery Dungeon series, specifically Shiren the Wanderer 2 on N64. It details how monsters can drop items when defeated, emphasizing that these are powerful enemies from level 2 onwards. Another technique highlights the use of holy scrolls to stop monsters in their tracks. A section explains how to get rich quickly by accumulating 1 million-inch gitan, in-game currency. It also mentions that damaged bracelets can be repaired, offering an alternative to repeatedly going to town for repairs. The page also features a detailed item identification table for scrolls, bracelets, and rods. It lists item names, their selling price, and purchase price. The table is focused on how to identify unknown scrolls, bracelets, and rods by their effects when used, providing clues based on the outcomes and monster reactions. For example, hitting a wall with an unknown rod and it breaking will reveal it as a shape rod. The guide details various effects and the corresponding item type, like pickle rod and pit rod, based on monster reactions. It mentions that the effect of rods like steel rod and from dust rod lasts for 10 turns. This Monster Edition guide provides strategies for defeating 8 monster types in Shiren the Wanderer 2. Tactics range from using flying grass and fire scrolls against female earth spiders to prioritizing enemy elimination before battling Garaha, who throws rocks. Oyabun requires recovery items and seal weapons to counter its fire breath. Ai monsters need angled attacks, while Nigiri Minara battles involve placing valuable items on the floor to prevent rice ball conversions. Quick attacks with antidote herbs are essential for Shioyan. For Gaizu, distance and arrows are advised due to their magic and item-stealing abilities. Finally, Tiger Usho encounters necessitate trap checks due to their trap-throwing ability and the danger of sleep gas. This guide aims to help players survive the challenging monsters found in Shiren the Wanderer 2. This text outlines strategy tips for a dungeon-crawling RPG, possibly a Shiren the Wanderer title. The guide covers 2 key areas: monster houses and thief tactics. Monster House Edition details survival in rooms packed with enemies. Techniques advise scroll usage, sanctuary, Baku sleep, etc., recognizing specialized monster house types, thief, magic, etc., and being wary of traps. Escaping to corridors is recommended when overwhelmed. Thief Edition provides item acquisition strategies. These include using the Trapmaster's Bracelet with pitfall traps, employing Scrolls of Returning, manipulating shop layouts with pulling/knockback staves, and using Scrolls of Great Room /Staff of Location Change. Strategies also cover tripping merchants and reusing scrolls through a wedding mechanic. The text also hints at shopkeeper level progression. The next page is a game preview for Banjo-Kazooie, Isle o' Hags on the Nintendo 64, released in Japan as Banjo-Kazooie no Daibuken 2. This guide focuses on action strategies and emphasizes that actions and items are key to success in this action-adventure game, which is more AVG adventure game than ACT action game due to its puzzle elements. It highlights actions up to World 3 and stresses the importance of mastering various actions to progress. The page details basic actions available from the start, with a table listing moves like walking, jumping, flapping jump, beak buster, rolling attack, egg missile, and more, showing their commands and which character can perform them. Descriptions with screenshots are provided for moves like the somersault jump, which is higher than a normal jump and good for comboing with the grip grab, the flapping jump for distance and avoiding damage on landing, Wonder Wing for temporary invincibility using gold feathers, Kazooie Dash for fast running and climbing slopes, and wall climbing for reaching high places. It introduces Mumbo and Humbawumba as important characters, magic users who have houses in each world, and assist Banjo and Kazooie with magic if they bring Glowbox creatures. Mumbo's magic is activated at special points, and involves operating statues for puzzle solving, while Humbawumba offers transformation magic, changing the duo to grant different actions needed for puzzles. This section of the Banjo-Kazooie guide details new moves and items. Banjo and Kazooie learn actions like Egg Aim, Grip Grab, Drill Beak, Spear Beak, and Bomb Egg, often from jam jars, by collecting musical notes. These moves are used to solve puzzles, access new areas, and defeat enemies. Honeycombs increase health, and cheat pages unlock passwords. The game also emphasizes collecting jigsaw pieces, used to unlock stages, and rescuing Jinjos within each world to earn more. The separate pad action allows Banjo and Kazooie to operate switches independently. This page provides action tips and one-point advice for the game Banjo-Kazooie. It outlines the game's structure, starting from stage 1 and progressing through areas such as a cave, a village, Bottle's house, temple area, and Mayan temple. The page highlights several key gameplay elements. Collecting cheat pages unlocks the backflip jump ability. It mentions using grenade eggs and land rising techniques to get special eggs from cassettes. The guide also advises players not to forget about fish hidden under rocks, which can be accessed using the Beakbuster move. For iron doors in forest areas, the fire egg is needed to hit an emblem and open them. The area called Kuru Kuru Mountain Foot and Majo Island is described as a base camp within the game world. The page also offers boss strategy for Clanker, advising players to focus fire once his barrier disappears, and to avoid attacking while it's active. Another special egg can be obtained by taking a hedgehog egg to the hedgehog's mansion in the temple area, which unlocks an additional action called Needle Kazooie. Finally, honeycombs collected in each stage can be used at Honeybee's house in the plateau area to increase Banjo and Kazooie's maximum health. This page is a strategy guide focused on the first world, Mayahem Temple, of Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. It's packed with hints and tips for various challenges. The guide explains how to get clues from stony statues, participate in the Mayahem kickball minigame, and defeat the Golden Goliath enemy using Mumbo's magic. It also details how to use cheat codes in a special code room, navigate the bottomless swamp with green boots, and sneak past sleeping enemies. There are tips on finding jigsaw pieces in the Rattlesnake Cave, getting the Snakehead key for the 5-story tower, and using the beak drill to open prison doors. Finally, it gives strategies for battling the boss Targetsan, including using side steps to dodge attacks and egg bombs to enter his temple, as well as shaking pillar domes to get jigsaw pieces and exploring the swamp areas for more rewards. This guide provides gameplay tips for Banjo-Kazooie. Key strategies include using Oomba's blast device and dynamite ignition for attacks. Players are advised on how to find jigsaw pieces underwater and in the Crash Shack by utilizing specific attacks and mechanisms. Tips cover switch activation for quick water traversal and utilizing the separate move in a dark cave. Players will also need to find fire eggs to power a generator. Other challenges include defeating dynamite enemies in the armory within a time limit, and helping a canary escape to race in a trolley. Finally, the guide details a strategy for defeating the King Cole boss using specific attacks, avoiding lava, and unlocking the Shooper move, which opens a new area. This guide covers the Witchy World area of Banjo-Tooie. It details several challenges and minigames. Players can open Oomba's Magic Van doors using Banjo to find items. The UFO ride involves shooting targets from a UFO using Mumbo's magic and specific moves. Tightrope walking requires grip grab to navigate ropes above the big top and find Jinjos. The Star Spinner uses Kazooie Dash to collect Jiggies from star platforms. 2 minigames, the Balloon Game and Ring Hopper, are accessed using the separate move in Crazy Castle's Pump Room. The separate move is also used in Inferno Cooperative Play to reach Jiggies atop the volcano. The guide also describes the Mr. Patch boss fight, which involves hitting patches with eggs. Finally, it explains how to obtain tickets for the Big Top, which are earned by defeating 4 slot machines. This page is focused on Perfect Dark for the N64, a first-person shooter. It appears to be a strategy guide for the game, specifically for missions 1 and 2. The page breaks down the missions into sections with titles like Datadyne Central, Infiltration, Datadyne Underground Research Lab, Search, Datadyne Central Protection, Protection, and Carrington Villa, Rescue. For each mission, it lists the objectives that are required to complete it. It also gives advice on how to approach these missions effectively. such as being aware of cameras and enemies, and using hidden weapons. There are screenshots from the game that illustrate the gameplay and mission environments, showing characters and action. The game is described as an action title for 1 to 4 players, with a clear time of around 10 hours, and a difficulty rating shown with stars, seemingly indicating a high difficulty. This page is a strategy guide for a mission called Infiltration Chicago in the game Perfect Dark. It outlines 5 key mission objectives: retrieve a secret item, set up a transmitter in a limousine, secure an escape route, execute a decoy operation, and infiltrate the G5 building. The guide advises players to be stealthy as enemies will call for backup if alerted, and to avoid harming civilians. Security robots are also mentioned as a threat. The page provides tactical advice, suggesting players use drain ditches to avoid enemy fire and employ remote explosives. A map is included detailing key locations marked with numbers corresponding to the mission objectives, and icons indicating the presence of weapons and shields. Overall, this page serves as a walkthrough, offering players tips and strategic information to successfully complete the Infiltration Chicago mission in Perfect Dark. This Perfect Dark guide details the G5 building mission, with objectives set by Tiny Joanna. Players must disable communications, turn off laser grids, located in Section 2, avoid alarms, record a meeting in Section 2 using the camspi, eliminate enemies first, acquire a person's backpack using a gold key and door coder, Section 2, expect alarms, and escape. To disable communications, use stealth and the B button. To disable the laser grids, find and deactivate 4 devices, cautiously avoiding alarms. Record the meeting on the 2nd floor with the camspi. The gold key opens the door coder to get the backpack, triggering alarms. Escape using the emergency exit, hole in the wall on the 2nd floor, where a bomb was previously placed, achievable on agent difficulty or higher with remote bombs. Hidden weapons are available, but optional. This page is a strategy guide for Mission 4 of the N64 game Area 51. It details 5 essential tasks to complete the mission, including infiltrating the base from the gold net, setting up communication links by lowering antennas, destroying nearby robots, using keys taken from enemies to operate elevators, and finally, reaching the goal area to complete the mission. The guide includes maps of the base and screenshots showing key objectives, like locations of switches, robots, and elevators. It also advises players on tactical approaches, such as using the gold net to enter the base and being cautious of enemies equipped with dragons in the storage area. This guide details Mission 4, Rescue Area 51, from the N64 game Area 51. The mission has 5 objectives. Mission 1 focuses on protecting computers at locations 11 and 12 from enemy attacks while sending viruses. Mission 2 involves raising cold sleep capsules and using X-scan to identify targets, whose locations are randomized. Mission 3 explains costume locations vary based on difficulty: 31, Agent, 32, Advanced, or 33, Perfect. Perfect difficulty requires going to the shower and storage rooms, and the ceiling passage. Costumes are temporary. Players must quickly reach Research Room 1. Mission 4 requires infiltrating a back room, using a costume and deception to obtain a card key from researchers. Holding a weapon prevents entry. Enemies in the Research Room corridor will attack regardless of disguise. Mission 5 involves quickly defeating enemies to rescue survivors in the medical research lab. Players need to get the card key, fight through the corridor, and use the S-Dragon's G-Launcher. The final door unlocks a hidden weapon if a specific person was not killed in a previous stage. This page is a guide for Mission 4, Escape from Area 51, in the game Perfect Dark. The mission objectives are listed as 1. Find the auto-op. 2. Meet with Jonathan. 3. Infiltrate the secret storage. 4. Wake up Mayan. 5. Escape from Area 51. The guide gives tips for completing the mission, including finding auto-op in the medical preparation room, using grenades to break glass and activate switches, and protecting Jonathan while he plants bombs to destroy walls. It also describes using auto-op to wake up Mayan, who is asleep in the secret storage, and mentions 2 escape routes, one involving a UFO and another route through Area 54. The guide emphasizes quickly escaping within 36 seconds to reach the weapon drop-off point in the passage to acquire remote bombs. Pokemon Stadium Gold and Silver introduces the new White City in Stadium 2 with several key features. Players can battle powered-up gym leaders in the Gym Leader Castle and compete in tournaments using Game Boy Pokémon in the Stadium mode. The game offers 12 minigames playable with up to 4 players, including CM opponents if needed. The GB building allows players to play their Game Boy Pokémon games on the N64. Players can manage their Pokémon and experience improved PC performance. My Room is a customizable 3D space where players can decorate with prizes. Free Battle provides 2-on-2 battles with customizable rules for single-player and multiplayer. The N64 console has a price of 6,800 yen, RAM as 256 megabytes, supporting 14 players, battery backup, and compatibility with a 64 gigabytes pack. Tips include remembering Pokemon types, raising Pokemon, and listening to experienced players. This page is all about the Pokemon course in Pokemon Stadium, which is a helpful facility to learn everything about Pokemon. It teaches you Pokemon knowledge and battle techniques in the classroom for beginners, where you can learn basic rules and Pokemon types from Professor Oak. There's also a Test Your Skills section, where you battle trainers in trainer class mode to test your knowledge. You can challenge trainers like Tough Guy Daiguru, who uses fixed moves, Camper Boy Tadao, who uses fire and bug Pokemon, Knowledgeable Boy Yuta with fire-type Pokemon, Returnee Kid Yoshihiko, who uses ground, steel, and dark types, Shorts Boy Tatsumi, who only uses normal attacks, Picnic Girl Shinobu, who raises evasion, and Miniskirt Yachio, who uses status recovery moves. The page also highlights enjoying Pokemon battles in White City Stadium, with modes to play solo or with friends. Options let you customize battle rules. Anyway, Battle is for quick battles, and Event Battle is for friend battles with custom rules and stadiums. Finally, Mysterious Gift explains how to use the 64 gigabytes pack to trade with Pokemon Gold and Silver on Game Boy. This page is focused on providing strategies for the Nintendo Cup in Pokemon Stadium. It highlights that the upcoming Pokemon League official tournament will use the same rules as the Nintendo Cup, making this a great practice opportunity. The page is divided into sections based on different Pokeball types: Monster Ball, Super Ball, Hyper Ball, and Master Ball, implying these represent different difficulty levels or rule sets within Pokemon Stadium's battles. Each section lists teams of Pokemon and trainers for each ball type. There's also a section titled Nintendo Cup Recommended 6 Selections, featuring 6 Pokemon images and names: Espeon, Entei, Raikou, Rhydon, Lapras, and Mewtwo, suggesting these are strong choices for the Nintendo Cup. The page aims to help players prepare for the Nintendo Cup by suggesting team compositions and strategies within Pokemon Stadium. This page is about the Little Cup in Pokemon Stadium 2, a special battle mode in the game where only Pokemon in their first evolution stage can participate. It offers strategies and tips for winning in this mode. The page highlights 3 key points for success: inflicting status conditions on opponents, focusing on main Pokemon with high HP but keeping it under 40 HPs in total, and utilizing egg moves, which are powerful moves that Pokemon can learn only when hatched from an egg. It recommends specific Pokemon like Staryu and Abra as strong choices for this cup. 2 example strategies are presented: one using Ponyta, focused on Hypnosis, and another using Psyduck, focusing on Psychic. Team compositions are suggested for these strategies, recommending Pokemon movesets. The page also briefly mentions the Ultra Cup, a mode where all 251 Pokemon at level 100 can battle, and the Challenge Cup, a random mode where you select from randomly chosen Pokemon. Finally, 8 trainers for the Little Cup are listed with the Pokemon they use, such as trainers using teams with Togepi, Porygon, Chikorita, Bulbasaur, Meowth, Pi, Elekid, and Pichu. This page is focused on Custom Robo V2 for the Nintendo 64, detailing strategies and gameplay information. It highlights the game's 2 main scenario modes, the Journey Edition and the Intense Fighting Edition, noting that Intense Fighting Edition becomes available after clearing Journey Edition. The page offers 3 iron rules for strategy and battles, emphasizing customizing robots, following up after a knockdown, and utilizing cover. It mentions the story centers around a protagonist fighting against the evil organization, Goliath. Sections detail specific battle scenarios in Journey Edition, such as Koteng Battle in Ajido B2F, Boronzi Battle in the 5-storied pagoda, and Homura Battle in the base. Gameplay advice is given for each, including using terrain to your advantage, utilizing specific weapons like the Wave Bomb and Satellite Pod, and employing strategies like slide shots and dragon guns. Screenshots display in-game battles in various environments, showcasing customizable robots fighting and user interface elements. The page also mentions characters like Hayao and Mamoru, alongside the protagonist and Goliath. It's described as an RPG with 14-player capability, a 30-hour clear time, and a 3-star difficulty rating. This strategy guide for the Japan-exclusive Nintendo 64 game, Custom Robo V2, offers tactics for winning robot battles. It outlines strategies for specific enemy encounters, including using lance and spear robots against Suguri and Yaiba, Drillbogen against Drillbogen, and Rayfall Gun, with continuous movement against the twin guns. Players are advised to use Drill Gun to counter Wolfen, and to evade the Jamie Hamelin's powerful laser beam with jumping. The guide also provides recommended customization courses based on combat range, Shotgun for close range, Dragon Gun for mid-range, and Rayfall Gun for long range. The guide emphasizes the importance of customization and adapting tactics to counter opponents effectively, featuring screenshots to illustrate gameplay. This page is about the exciting Battles edition of Custom Robo, highlighting the special rules applied in this scenario where players face consecutive battles. It details 3 unique battle rules: non-limit battle, where all parts are usable; part takeover battle, where used parts become unavailable for the rest of the fort battles; and part rental battle, where players use preset, limited-use parts. The page then introduces 2 stages: Genta's Battle Fort and Shinichi's Cottage. Genta's Fort uses the non-limit battle rule, described as an easy starting point. It advises caution against Genta's sniper gun and suggests closing in for drill gun attacks. Opponent data for Genta's Fort lists 6 characters with their robot and gun types. Shinichi's Cottage introduces the part takeover battle rule for the first time, emphasizing careful part selection. It recommends a part usage order starting with sniper gun and ending with shotgun, and suggests using the Strike Vanisher type robot against Shinichi's Shining Fighter. Opponent data for Shinichi's Fort lists 5 characters with their robot and gun types. This is a strategy guide for the Nintendo 64 game Custom Robo V2, outlining strategies for several stages. Stage 3, Taihei Cottage, is a parts collection battle. The guide suggests specific gun types and strategies against each opponent, including Kengo and Taihei, recommending wide jump legs for evasion. Stage 4, Final Battle, Battle Square, is a non-limit battle, emphasizing jumping to evade close-range shotguns and offering strategies for facing the final boss, Mamoru. Stage 5, Corinne Cottage, is another parts collection battle, focused on close-range gun tactics, with the stun gun being particularly useful. Stage 6, Rito's Challenge, features parts rental and parts collection battles, highlighting the Phoenix gun strategy. Stage 7, Jake's Battle Fort, is a non-limit battle, with satellite pods and trap guns being effective. Stage 8, Researcher Aiming Shadow, is also a non-limit battle, focusing on strategies against Homura, Gusetsu, and Minamo guns. To become a Mario Party 3 superstar, players must collect 7 stars, strategically navigating the game board. 3 key strategies are crucial. First, understand the game's flow of dice rolls, space events, and star collection. Second, utilize Teresa, Boo, to steal coins and stars from opponents. Third, prioritize action time events for advantageous movement towards stars. Item management is also vital. Acquire items from shops or item spaces, through Lucky Kiosk Koopa and Lucky Mini Koopa, to sway the game. Different spaces on the map trigger various events: coin, item, minus, battle, action time, happening time, gamble, and bank, each offering unique opportunities or risks. Master these strategies to dominate the party. The next page is a guide to the dual map mode, likely from a Mario Party game, analyzing its gameplay mechanics. It describes the rules where players aim to reduce each other's strength to 0 on a map. The page introduces Otasuke characters, help characters, that players can employ for attack and defense, each with different attack and health stats. A character data list details various characters, including Noko, Kuribo, Goomba, Kinopio, Toad, Bombhay, Bobomb, Teresa, Boo, Bata, Buzzbeetle, Wanwan, Chain Chomp, Dawson, Thwomp, Snowman, Mini Koopa, Koopa Kid, Mucho, Monty Mole, and Pacoon Flower, Piranha Plant, outlining their attack power and health points along with brief descriptions of their abilities and costs. The page also explains different types of map spaces: normal mass, minigame mass, gamble mass, power-up mass, back mass, and mass, each triggering unique events and effects on gameplay. It highlights the strategic use of Otasuke characters for attacking and defending in this dual map mode. This encyclopedia entry highlights minigames from a larger collection of 70, specifically focusing on 1vs3 and 2vs2 game types. 6 examples are detailed. In Shivery Palm Nuts, 1 player evades falling fruits while 3 try to hit them. Shine the Searchlight tasks a swimmer with hiding from searchlights. Rolling Rock Rolling sees 1 player roll a rock, avoiding 3 others. Spinning Gear Wheel features a driver trying to knock riders off a spinning gear. Where? Hide and Seek is a hide-and-seek challenge, and Collect Coin River is a cooperative game of coin collection. These mini-games occur after turns, and coin collection is implied to be a key element. Mario Party 3 features a variety of mini-games categorized by style. Button mash games include relay races like Dodo Bada Mix Race, pizza eating challenges like Mogu Mogu Big Pizza, and rocket launching contests like Go Rocket. Technique-based games include Dosen, Thwomp Chain Reactions, Doka Doka Taihao, Cannon Targeting, Ika de Coin Atsume, Raft Coin Collection, Popuru Hito no Yujin, Water Hose Teamwork, Sakuranbo Catch, Cherry Catching, and Kakan de Crayon, Toad Crayon Tracing. Reflex games include Ojama Coaster, Billboard Dodging, Izoid, Makiwari, Wood Chopping, and Zoroete, Character Alignment. This page is all about gameplay tips and basic knowledge for Rockman Dash, known as Mega Man 64 in English. It's an action RPG for the N64, priced at 6,800 yen, playable by 1 person, and boasts about 10 hours of gameplay with a 4-star difficulty rating. The page highlights 3 key rules for tackling the game: mastering special moves, properly equipping rock, and learning enemy attack patterns. It dives into combat techniques like lock-on for aiming, side roll to dodge enemy attacks, and quick turn for changing direction rapidly. It also explains the importance of customizing Rock with parts and weapons to power him up. It discusses Buster parts for enhancing the Rock Buster weapon, special weapons that are powerful tools found in dungeons, and other parts to boost Rock's abilities, such as helmet, armor, and foot parts, each offering different defensive or movement enhancements. The screenshots show in-game action and menus for equipment customization. This page is a strategy guide for dungeon and mission in what is clearly Mega Man 64, known as Rockman Dash 2 in Japan, guiding players from the Tower of Wind to the subgate of Lake Juin. Section 1 focuses on the Tower of the Sea dungeon, detailing how to defeat the boss Hameldal by attacking from its right side and recommending the Power Riser Buster part. The objective is to escape the tower while avoiding traps. Section 2 covers Gate 1 of the underground ruins, where players need to rescue an old man from the junk shop and obtain the rapid-fire Buster part. The mission is to rescue this trapped old man. Section 3 is Mission 1, which is a boss battle against Blum Bear. The guide suggests moving to the right at the mission start and using quick turns to defeat the blue Blum Bear who holds the key. It's recommended to use the range-up Buster part. Finally, the page mentions Splash Mine as a special weapon and discusses the boss fight against Ferdinand, advising players to observe Ferdinand's actions and use cover during fire attacks, and aim for the legs when it charges. The recommended equipment listed for Buster parts are Power Riser, Range Up, and Rapid Fire, and for special weapon, Splash Mine. The next page details mission strategies for what seems to be Bomberman 64. Mission 2, vs Hornus and Mabelwagon, tasks you with protecting the City Hall area. The advice is to defeat the 3 Hornus enemies first, then deal with the Mabelwagon, being careful not to destroy too many buildings in the process. Recommended equipment is Power Riser Plus and Range Up Plus, with the Splash Mine as the special weapon. Mission 3, vs Mailwolf, requires you to defeat the heavy mobile wooden horse, Mailwolf. The strategy is to use Splash Mines to destroy the caterpillar treads first, then climb to higher ground to attack Mailwolf. Be aware of the giant homing missiles it fires. Recommended equipment remains Power Riser Plus and Range Up Plus, and Splash Mine is still the suggested special weapon. Mission 6, Cardin's Forest Subgate, focuses on obtaining the yellow deflector. You'll need 3 starter keys. The recommended setup changes to Power Riser Unit and Buster Unit, with the Powered Buster as the special weapon. The guide then describes how to navigate the rooms in Cardin's Forest, using a map to collect the starter keys, and ultimately the yellow deflector, explaining the puzzles and switches in each numbered area of the map. This page outlines strategies for 2 gameplay sections. The versus ZURF grade and Dora He boss fight strategy suggests using Hyper Razor, Sniper Range Buster, and Power Buster, prioritizing the ZURF grade and DORAHHE enemies to protect the boat. Red, ZURF GREADEs fire torpedoes, while yellow ones launch homing missiles. Quickly eliminate Dora HE. Lock-on may be less effective. The Jiwin Lake No-Sab Gate section details how to obtain the red reflector. It recommends Hyper Razor, Power Razor SP Buster, and Splash Mine. Players must collect 3 starter keys in this water-surrounded dungeon, avoiding strong fill-shut enemies. The boss S. Galderiton, has a head weak point. The strategy involves jumping and dodging shockwaves, attacking during walking and shockwave phases with Rockbuster, and jumping again after the dive. The joint plug can be upgraded to an adapter plug, enhancing the Rockbuster. The next page introduces Dance Dance Revolution Disney Dancing Museum for the N64, an early dance simulation game touted as easy for beginners. It highlights 3 iron rules for gameplay: being able to see your feet, stepping on buttons like you're dancing, and dancing with confidence even if you're not perfect. The page explains the game's modes, including single and 2-player options, and difficulty levels from easy to hard, recommending normal as a starting point. It emphasizes getting comfortable with the dedicated dance mat controller and learning button positions without looking down. Gameplay tips focus on understanding arrow patterns and using footwork combinations for arrows like down then up or alternating left and right. It even gives step-by-step instructions for basic foot movements on the dance mat. The game is presented as beginner-friendly within the Dance Dance Revolution series, with a lower difficulty setting due to its Disney theme. It's perfect for newcomers to DDR, especially the session mode for solo play. For experienced players seeking a challenge, the hard difficulty is suggested. The game specs shown include developer Konami, a price of 7,800 yen, 256 MB memory, 12 players, Rumble Pack compatibility, and an estimated playtime of about 5 minutes per game. This title was released internationally as Dance Dance Revolution Disney Mix. This page is a guide for a Dance Dance Revolution style game on the N64, likely only released in Japan, as it features Disney characters like Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse. It's focused on session play mode, where you collect puzzle pieces during gameplay. These puzzle pieces, which look like green arrow icons in the game, are collected by hitting the correct arrows during the song. The guide explains that in easy mode, puzzle pieces do not appear, implying you need to play on a harder difficulty to collect them. Once you collect all the pieces, you unlock hidden songs. The page also gives performance advice for playing, suggesting that you should move your upper body in rhythm with the music and not be afraid to dance and have fun, even if you are a beginner, and to use the on-screen Disney characters as a guide for your moves. It emphasizes enjoying the dance aspect of the game, not just hitting the buttons. This page is a strategy guide for level 4 and higher dance songs in what appears to be Dance Dance Revolution Disney Mix on the Nintendo 64, although it was only released in Japan. The guide focuses on 2 songs, Russian Dance and Irish River. It gives advice on timing and rhythm, suggesting players use the training mode to practice difficult sections. For Russian Dance, the guide highlights the importance of timing and rhythm and describes a section between phrases 58 and 2033 that features repeating patterns. For Irish River, the advice is to stay calm and focus on the rhythm, described as Ken 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 Kempa. It points out that phrase 1012 involves simultaneous presses of up and right arrows and stresses, maintaining rhythm throughout the song. And for phrases 1320, to swing your arms wide and take skip steps. The page also mentions the fun of playing with 2 players, and encourages players to think about different poses while dancing. The guide indicates that there are over 20 songs in total, including hidden songs, and that these are Disney tunes, with most being famous. The next page features dance instructions for a dance game, with 2 songs highlighted, Go 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 and Para Para Venus. For Go Go Go, the basic rhythm is described as 1, 2, 3, and it's suggested to focus on timing with the arrow objects. Sections 13, 15, and 32 are mentioned, giving advice on how to approach these parts of the song, emphasizing the rhythm. For Para Para Venus, it's stated that mastering the high-tempo rhythm is key. Sections 6572 and 66, 68, and 7172 are mentioned with specific advice regarding timing and keeping in rhythm, particularly noting that sections 66 and 68 require simultaneous presses, and 71 and 72 have narrow object spacing. The text advises to focus on timing and not getting pulled into rushing. The Soda Mania section focuses on finishing poses at the end of songs to add style and appeal to the gallery watching. It also promotes party play, suggesting that playing with friends makes the game more enjoyable. It emphasizes the fun of dancing together and encouraging each other, mentioning session play as being recommended. This page is a strategy guide for Mario Tennis GB on the Game Boy. It details how to effectively train your characters to become stronger and beat even star characters in the game. The guide is split into sections, the first being the game flow, which outlines the different tournament ranks in the game, starting from junior rank, then senior rank, selection class, island open, and finally Mario World. Each rank has a different court surface, number of matches, game rules, and set rules. The second section is about parameter UP methods, detailing how to level up your character's stats through matches, minigames, and equipping items. The guide then moves into character training tips, explaining that character parameters are divided into 4 categories and level up by 1 stage at a time, but over-leveling one category can impact others. It recommends focusing on speed for round-type characters. Finally, the guide emphasizes the importance of the drop shot, stating it is very effective in this GB version, especially if you have leveled up the power parameter. It suggests using drop shots to pull opponents to one side of the court and then hitting a powerful shot to the opposite side. The guide highlights that drop shots are effective because they are slow and create angled shots. This page focuses on minigames and item usage in Mario Tennis 64. It describes how to utilize minigames effectively within the training center. There are 2 minigames highlighted: the tennis machine and the wall rally tennis, both located in the training center. The page gives advice on how to succeed in these minigames. It also details items that can be used to adjust player parameters in the game. These items include rackets like the normal racket, large racket, small racket, and iron racket, and shoes like normal shoes, light shoes, and iron shoes. The page explains how each item affects in-game parameters such as serve, stroke, spin, angle, and place, or speed, dash, agility, and break, and also whether it increases experience gain. This page is about Tales of Phantasia Narakiri Dungeon for the Game Boy Color and offers tips and strategies for players. It highlights 3 key rules for conquering the game, focusing on costumes, battle formations, and personality control. Mastering costumes is essential, as changing costumes allows characters to take on different jobs with unique abilities. The game also features a personality system, where character personalities affect their stats and can unlock specific events. Customizing costumes through an order-made system is also mentioned, implying crafting or tailoring options. The page also lists several in-game events that players can encounter, each with specific conditions for triggering them, instructions on how to clear them, and the items you can receive as rewards. Examples include Happy Birthday, which requires talking to Elizabeth in Valhalla Village and rewards a healer; Selfish Gourmet, involving a gourmet old man in Valhalla Village and rewarding a hard pot; and other events like Oasis Riddle, Heart Door, One Wheel Flower, Mr. Slump, Mel Don't Lick, Fortune Telling Tina, and Chase Tortoise, each taking place in different locations and rewarding different items. The game features a variety of unlockable costumes, each granting unique abilities and appearances. Players can combine different character classes to unlock specific costumes. Examples include the Flame Swordsman, Swordsman plus Flare Mage; the Gale Swordsman, Swordsman plus Wind Mage; and the Swordmaster, 2 Swordsmen. Other classes include the Thunder Fighter, 2 Brawler; Thunder Mage, 2 Aqua Mage; Fortune Teller, Illustrator plus Magic User; Archer, 2 Ranger; Great Thief, Thief plus Hunter; Chef, Apprentice Swordsman plus Magic User; Fisherman, Chef plus Hunter; Songstress, 2 Artisan; Playboy Joker, Hunter plus Healer; Cleric, 2 Healer; and Model, 2 Playboy's Joker. Monster costumes like the Bugbear, Dragon Knight, Stronger Bugbear, and Basilisk can be stolen from enemies. These costumes provide diverse gameplay styles, and visual customization options. This page introduces strong devils that can be created in Marble Land in Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Children Black Book, and Red Book. It highlights 3 key strategies: constantly making devils your allies, combining devils, and leveling up the main character to avoid being forgotten. The page details devil combination characteristics for both Black Book and Red Book versions. In the Black Book, the combination is described as always leading to a new and strong devil, emphasizing finding new powerful devils through fusion. Example devils include Mizuchi, Nickchecker, Onibi, Golem, Grigori, Fafnir, Deva, and Kokma, each with descriptions of their abilities and combination examples. The Red Book section explains that different devils will result when combining devils in the Red Book compared to the Black Book. It also notes that combining the same devils multiple times can lead to ranking up and creating even stronger devils. Example devils for the Red Book are Kamaitachi, Yukiona, Sylph, Otome, Raratosuk, R, Deabauer, and Rasitsor, with similar descriptions and combination examples. The bottom of the page explains the stats listed for each devil: HP, MP, Attack, Guard, Magic, Magic Guard, Speed, and Luck, which are their initial values when they become allies. The next page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Advance game Digi-I Share-It, Digi-Communication. It is described as a conversation simulation game and is scheduled for release in spring 2001. The next page is focused on Dragon Quest II for the Game Boy. It's presented as a special report, highlighting that this is the Game Boy version of the popular RPG and part of the Legend of Zelda series, continuing from Dragon Quest I and II. The article teases in-depth information about jobs, character growth systems, and new monster metal elements unique to the Game Boy version. Screenshots from the game are shown, and there's a section that briefly summarizes the stories of Dragon Quest I and II as context for Dragon Quest II. Finally, there's an urgent announcement for Dragon Quest Monsters 2, revealing its release is set for March. Dragon Quest II features a class system with 9 unique jobs, each with strengths and weaknesses. Players control a party of 4, including the hero, a balanced character. Other classes include the warrior, high attack; martial artist, high agility; mage, offensive magic; priest, healing; thief, treasure hunting; jester, unpredictable skills; merchant, commerce; and sage, versatile magic. At Dharma Temple, players can change classes. Changing classes resets a character's level to 1, but retains learned spells and grants access to new ones, allowing for customization. In other news, Dragon Quest Monsters 2, Malta's Mysterious Key is in development, with a March 20th release planned. It is a sequel to Dragon Quest Monsters, and will have 2 versions, Ruka's Journey and Ill's Adventure. This page introduces game systems for Dragon Quest II, focusing on the Super Famicom version. It details how personality influences character growth during level-ups, and that personality can even change during the adventure based on choices made, including answering questions from NPCs like a mother figure. The game features a day and night cycle which causes various changes in the game world, such as stronger monsters appearing at night and different information being available in towns. There is a Sugoroku board game area where players can enjoy a mini-game and obtain items. Lastly, the page describes a mysterious map item that immediately shows the player's current location on the world map. The next page discusses the Game Boy game Dragon Quest II, focusing on the battle system and the new monster metal feature added in this version. The battle system is described as having smooth monster animations and spell effects, which is impressive for a Game Boy game. It highlights individual monster movements and impactful spell animations. The page then introduces the monster medal system, a new element for the Game Boy version. Monsters will sometimes drop medals after being defeated. These medals, over 150 types, feature monster illustrations and can be viewed in a medal album. There are 3 types of medals: gold, silver, and copper. Collecting different types of medals is suggested to lead to something special, potentially rare items. The page shows examples of medals for Slime, Almirage, and Antbear, including their monster names and locations. It also explains that you can trade monster medals with friends using a link cable. This allows players to efficiently collect all the medals by cooperating and exchanging them with each other. The page encourages players to collect all monster medals in Dragon Quest II. This page is dedicated to the Game Boy Color game Monster Tactics. It introduces the game as an RPG where players explore dark dungeons, battle monsters, and collect montaku, which are like monster tags or images. The article highlights the unique Kakurenbo battle, hide-and-seek battle, system, where players and monsters search for each other in dungeons. The goal is to become the grand champion in a large montaku hunting competition by teaming up with companions and monsters. Two characters, Cowan and Kevin, are introduced as playable hunters. Kyrin is described as a spirited female hunter specializing in fire skills, while Kevin is the main character proficient in all attribute skills. Gameplay mechanics are briefly explained, showing steps like searching for monsters, attacking them, and running away. Montaku are collected as proof of defeating monsters and can be printed using the pocket printer. The article emphasizes that stronger monsters yield bigger montaku, and collecting various skills makes battles more advantageous. This page is a continuation report for Donkey Kong 2001, highlighting it as an adventure game where players control Donkey and Diddy Kong to overcome challenges. The game features diverse courses, from jungles to snow mountains and seas. It also includes bonus games and a pocket printer feature that lets players print stickers. Collecting green bananas in the adventure mode leads to finding stickers to print. The page also presents a first report on Love Hina Party, an adventure visual game based on the popular anime Love Hina. It emphasizes the appealing graphics and the gameplay, which revolves around mini-games and improving relationships with female characters. Finally, there is a first report on Fun Cooking Series 1, Delicious Cake Shop, a cooking game where players gather recipes and ingredients in town to make cakes. The cooking process involves mini-games like cracking eggs, and recipes can also be printed using the pocket printer. This page highlights several Game Boy Color titles. Firstly, Grandia, Parallel Trippers, is showcased as a card battle RPG set in the world of Grandia. It mentions familiar characters and cooperative gameplay, where players work together to solve mysteries. The card battle system is emphasized, with players using action cards and combo techniques. There's also a feature to synthesize cards to create stronger ones. The pink creature Pinky is also featured prominently. Next up is Oi de Rascal, which translates to Hey Rascal, or Come Here Rascal, a communication game based on the Rascal the Raccoon series. It's described as a fun communication game where you can call Rascal's name, pet him, and interact in other ways. Minigames are included, and clearing them allows you to decorate Rascal's room and obtain items. Finally, Momotaro Densetsu 1 Greater Than 2 is introduced as a compilation of the first two Momotaro Densetsu RPG titles, revived as a single Game Boy Color game. It's described as a parody RPG with a humorous storyline. The game features familiar characters, and monsters drop cards when defeated, encouraging players to collect them and complete a monster picture book. This page is packed with upcoming Game Boy Color titles. First up is Muscle Ranking GB3, based on the popular TV show, promising various athletic competitions similar to what you'd see on TV, including a version based on Sasuke 2000. Next is Hamster Club 2, a hamster raising simulation game, the second in the series, where you nurture hamsters and aim to win the Hamster Grand Prix. Then there's One Piece, Dream Luffy Pirate Gang Birth, an RPG based on the hit manga and anime. It highlights the F-Dream system, allowing for diverse storylines, and promises a rich adventure where you build your own pirate crew with Luffy. Also featured is GB Herobots, Pet Battling, a robot battling game where you raise and battle robots called Heroes. It boasts over 120 different robots to collect and train for intense battles. Finally, we have Metarote 3, Parts Collection Super Battlefield from Z, a parts collection edition for Metarote 3. This version lets you obtain hidden Metarotes and medals that weren't available in the original Metarote 3, and transfer them to the main game using a link cable. Lastly, there's Densha to Go 2, bringing the popular train driving simulation to the Game Boy Color. This installment features famous train lines and a railway diagram mode to enjoy the beauty of train photography within the game. This page introduces upcoming Game Boy Color titles. Command Master is highlighted as a motion sensor action RPG, where you input commands by tilting the Game Boy. The featured team is called Shinebusters, one of 8 teams in the game. Shinebusters are described as skilled in counterattacks and have powerful special moves. The page shows screenshots of battles, and a special move called Multiple Fire. The team members are listed including Shine Light, Shine Fire, Shine Water, Shine Ice, Shine Wind, Shine Thunder, and Shine Earth. Next up is Kingdom in Pocket, a simulation RPG, where cute hobbit characters explore a world, solve mysteries, and seek out 8 legends. Screenshots show in-game menus and a battle scene against a dragon. It mentions new encounters and monster battles, with over 200 events in the game. Finally, SpaceNet, tentative title, is presented as an RPG, where agents of the ISNA space agency venture into the Rainbow Star System to save unknown planets. You access the ISNA homepage in the game to gather information and use a warp device for travel. The story revolves around stopping the evil Crackers group who aim to control the Rainbow Star System. A battle screenshot shows a character in Buster Mode. All 3 games are for the Game Boy Color and were Japan-only releases. Several upcoming Game Boy Color games are highlighted. Senkai Ibunroku Juntei Taisen is an RPG based on a TV animation, featuring character customization and strategic combat. Grinch is an action game where you steal Christmas presents. Hamunaptra, Lost City of Desert is a side-scrolling action game based on The Mummy, with players using character abilities to navigate dangerous environments. Pia Carrot, Iyukoso 2.2 is a romance simulation game where players work at a restaurant and woo girls. Poppin' Music GB Disney Tunes is a music game with Disney songs. Finally, Super Miru Miru GB Happy Mail Town is a communication game about making friends by exchanging emails and playing minigames. This page previews 4 upcoming Game Boy Color games. The first game is titled Suddenly Card Battle Fortune Telling. This game seems to be a card battle and fortune-telling game with cute character art and gameplay based around card battles and fortune-telling. It mentions it can be played with friends using the Game Boy Color's communication capabilities. The second game previewed is Hamster Paradise 3, Churi. This is a hamster-raising simulation game where players care for hamsters, rabbits, and squirrels. It highlights mini-games and events within the game. The third game is Attack Com Dungeon, Doruru Arga, a dungeon RPG where players use creatures and items on cards to explore dungeons and defeat enemies. It emphasizes strategic battles and jewel collecting. Finally, the last game is Metal Slater Glory, Director's Cut, a sci-fi adventure game being enhanced from its original Famicom version with improved graphics and scenarios. It mentions a command selection system and partner selection, focusing on story progression and strategic combat. The page also includes screenshots and character art for each game. The next page showcases a range of upcoming Game Boy Color titles. First up is Air Force Delta, a jet combat mission-based game where you pilot jet fighters through 12 missions. It boasts full-color graphics, 3D models, and supports communication play with friends. Next is Sylvania Family 2, The Forest of Colorful Dreams, a fairy tale adventure game starring an ivory rabbit girl in a charming world. You'll be exploring, planting flowers, arranging furniture, and enjoying story-driven gameplay. Then there's Donald Duck, Daisy Osuku, Donald Duck, Save Daisy, an action game where Donald must rescue Daisy who has been kidnapped by the evil wizard Marlock. It's a side-scrolling action game where you'll be jumping and running through stages. Dejiko no Mahjong Party is a mahjong game featuring characters from the Daiji I Share It anime series. It offers free play, training modes, and full-fledged mahjong matches, even teaching beginners the rules. Rokumon Tengai Monkoli Night GB is a monster collection RPG based on the popular anime series. You'll explore the Rokumon world, collect monsters, and embark on item hunting adventures. Finally, Wizardry Empire, Fukatsu no Tsu, Wizardry Empire, Revival of the Stacks, the latest in the dungeon RPG series Wizardry Empire. It features deep dungeon exploration, monster battles, and communication play capabilities. This page is the Present Giro Prize section. It highlights several N64 games as prizes, including the party game Mario Party 3, the Polygon RPG Mega Man Legends, and the adventure game Banjo-Tooie. Game Boy Color titles are also featured, such as Command Master, a unique command input RPG, the train simulation game Go by Train 2, the dungeon exploration RPG Monster Tactics, and Senkai Ibunroku Jantante Senki, an RPG based on a TV anime. Beyond games, prizes include a book card, a Game Boy Color system, and Pokémon talking cushions of Pikachu and Pichu. The page concludes with the announcement of winners from the 12th issue, listing names and prefectures for each prize category, showcasing who won items like Custom Controller V2, Perfect Data Book, Mario Tennis GB, and more. This month's Hot Game Preview highlights upcoming Nintendo 64 and Game Boy releases. For the N64, Sin and Punishment offers exhilarating action despite initially awkward controls, earning an 8/10. Mega Man Legends, a port from PlayStation, retains the original feel but suffers from slightly dated gameplay, scoring a 7/10. Banjo-Tooie is praised for its puzzle elements and customization, though visuals are rough, resulting in an 8/10. Mario Party 3 is recommended as a fun multiplayer party game, especially for younger players. The Game Boy section lists several titles including Monster Tactics, Grinch, Poppin' Music, GB Disney Tunes, and Air Force Delta. This page highlights several upcoming games for both Nintendo 64 and Game Boy. For Nintendo 64, there's Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie, described as a challenging action game with improved actions and vast levels. Screenshots showcase the gameplay. Next is Mario Party 3, a party game with plenty of minigames, described as perfect for gatherings and offering a deep dual map mode. Screenshots feature minigame action. Lastly, for N64 is Pokémon Stadium 2, which links with Pokémon Gold and Silver, allowing players to raise Pokémon and utilize strategy in battles. Screenshots display Pokémon battles and menus. Moving to Game Boy, Monster Tactics is featured as an RPG, where you collect monsters and explore dungeons, with a new hidden battle system. Screenshots depict battle scenes and menus. The reviews are by Sato Ryu Thunder No. 3 and Kinoshita Thunder No. 4. Air Force Delta, a 3D shooting game played from a cockpit view, focuses on destroying enemies and facilities in missions, aiming for an MSX-like gameplay feel. Screenshots show aerial combat. Reviews for this are from Goto Lightning No. 1 and Sato Ryu Thunder No. 3. This page is a preview for Pokémon Crystal version. It highlights new features of this version compared to Gold and Silver. The article emphasizes that Suicune is the featured Pokémon in Crystal, and that the story revolves around it. One new element is that Pokémon learn different moves. Wild Pokémon can use moves like Tri-Attack, and even Pokémon hatched from eggs can learn different moves than before. Another new feature is improved trainer phone calls. Trainers can call to battle again and even give hints about rare Pokémon locations. Radio also has new content, with a new program called Blue's Words of Wisdom, where players can earn points by remembering and using daily phrases. Finally, there are new mysteries surrounding the unknown. Stone tablets with unknown markings have been discovered, hinting at a new unknown-related secret in the game. The article mentions a new character named Minaki, described as a mysterious young man who is searching for Suicune and seems to be a rival character to the player. Screenshots show in-game scenes, including battles, phone calls, and locations with unknown. The release date is noted as December 14th, and the price as 3,800 yen. This GameCube unpublished title information page highlights unreleased GameCube demo titles shown overseas. It showcases games with limited publicly released footage. Notable titles include Zelda no Densetsu, described as a killer app, and Luigi's Mansion, a Mario-style game popular abroad. Other games mentioned are Metroid, a demo with overseas fan enthusiasm, Mario 128, presented as a power-up from the N64 era, Wave Race, a sequel, and Banjo-Kazooie no Daibuken. Other demos include Cube Racing, Two How Human, Star Wars, Reverse, and Perfect Dark. Metroid is emphasized as highly popular, with a demo showing Samus Aran. Mario 128 is possibly a trial version. The demos were shown at a software exhibition in Nagoya. Readers are encouraged to find the demo videos on overseas gaming websites. This page compares the GameCube to the N64 and Game Boy Color, highlighting the GameCube's compact size, emphasizing how surprisingly small it is compared to its predecessors. It notes the GameCube is designed to be kept close by, unlike consoles that are placed in TV racks. The page also touches upon the GameCube controller, describing it as more compact than the N64's. It mentions the move to single-disc media from cartridges and cassette tapes for software, emphasizing the smaller disc size. There is an interview with Haruhiko Ikeda from Infogrames Hudson, discussing the company's goals. The aim of the company's establishment is to create game software not just for the Japanese market, but worldwide. They want to learn marketing know-how from overseas, and partner with major foreign publishers to create new software. They plan to create games for a broad audience, targeting children aged 512, potentially action-adventure titles. They aim to create games with original characters that will be accepted globally, including in Japan, the US, and Europe. Currently, they are planning for a Christmas release next year. They also mention they are currently developing a Game Boy Advance title and are considering another GameCube title that can link with it. The impression of the GameCube is very positive among overseas staff, praising the move from cartridges to discs. Nintendo delayed the launch of its mobile GB system, which allows Game Boy Advance connectivity with mobile phones, from December 14, 2000 to January 27, 2001. This delay, attributed to preparation issues, will not affect the GBA's release date. Upcoming GBA software compatible with the mobile system includes games like Napoleon, Golden Sun, and Silent Hill AGB tentative. In other news, Sharp is increasing LCD production to meet the GBA's March 21st release. Activision is developing GBA titles such as X-Men and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater-style games, slated for early release in Japan. Finally, a national/Panasonic battery campaign offers a chance to win a GBA. The next page focuses on Pinobi, Quest of Heart, for the Game Boy Advance, highlighting it as a high-speed action game. The page details the game's core mechanics, such as the flying dash, which allows for continuous aerial movement and attacking multiple enemies, and lock-on attack, which allows for strategic targeting. Screenshots showcase these actions and the variety of gameplay, including climbing and puzzle-solving elements within the stages. An interview section titled Key Man of GBA features developers Daishima and Sugano from Artoon. They discuss their approach to developing for the GBA as a new challenge for their company, and their desire to create something truly excellent for the platform. They mention aiming for enjoyable gameplay and visual appeal, and overcoming the technical limitations of the GBA by focusing on game-specific optimizations, particularly in rendering 3D elements into 2D sprites reminiscent of Vickybox. They emphasize the importance of heart searching as a game theme, and promise multiple endings that change based on the player's actions, impacting Pinobi's heart. Ultimately, they aim for a game that offers both fun gameplay and emotional depth. This page introduces Dejiko Communication, a communication simulation game, although it's actually for the Game Boy Advance rather than the N64. The game is all about building relationships with three cute characters, Dejiko, Puchiko, and Usada. You play as someone working part-time at their shop, and the core gameplay is based around conversations. You'll teach them words and greetings, and how well you communicate and what you teach them directly impacts your relationships with them. The game seems to feature a system where your choices and taught words affect the character's affinity towards you, with different reactions based on whether they like what you say or not. It's designed to simulate getting closer to these characters over about a year of in-game time through everyday interactions and conversations. This page is about the game Doki Doki Pretty League, where events occur as time passes in the game, with special events happening on holidays like Christmas and Halloween. During these events, character affection increases, and special graphics are displayed. You can also collect original goods of your favorite characters, which increase in variety as you place orders. To order goods, you need to complete specific events and gather DP points earned by befriending characters, and you can aim to collect all the goods. The page mentions mini-games within events, including card games and button-pressing challenges. You can use the Game Boy Advance link cable for competitive play. When starting the game, you enter your name and can exchange contact information like phone numbers during character exchanges. For deep fans, the game offers various dress-up jobs. There are three main job types: General Osuji, cleaning, product management, and Kiseke, dress-up, which is important. In Kiseke, you dress up a cute character to attract customers, with a wide variety of outfits like Shrine Maiden, Santa, and maid costumes. The outfits apparently affect events within the game. The game features characters like Dejiko, Rabian Rose, and Puchiko, highlighting its connection to the Digi-I Share It universe. This page highlights the Game Boy Advance title, Air Traffic Controller, an aviation simulation game aimed at aviation fans. The page emphasizes the fast-paced decision-making required to manage airport traffic, guiding planes for landing and takeoff, and avoiding delays to keep controllers happy. Screenshots show the game interface with gauges for controller satisfaction and the airport map with planes. The page features an interview section called Key Man of GBA with developers Keiichiro Oba and Hitoshi Ito, from developer TAM and Graphics Research, respectively. They discuss their goal to create a puzzle-like experience for the GBA, distinct from more complex PC or PlayStation versions. They talk about adjusting difficulty levels and using real airports as inspiration, aiming to provide a deeply engaging experience even on the small screen. They suggest it will appeal to both casual players and dedicated aviation enthusiasts. This page focuses on Game Boy titles, beginning with Pokemon Panel de Pon, giving tips on how to get Kirihana and Pichu in versus calm mode by achieving victory under certain time limits to unlock Miniskirt and Daisuke Club Girl. It also details button command inputs to resolve issues like panels not stopping and to increase panel speed in the game. Moving on, Beatmania GB Gacha Mix 2 is featured, revealing hidden song passwords and hidden game modes. Passwords like Great, Amazing, Awesome, Supreme, and Maximum unlock songs such as Sunny Day Sunday and Theme of Lupin III 78. Commands are also given to access hidden modes like Stealth, Sudden, and Mystery. Lastly, Cyborg Kuro-chan 2. White Woods no Gyakushu is presented, showcasing 3 powerful Kakuropon weapons, the Plus Rifle, Beam Naginata, and Gigaflash. Passwords are provided to obtain these weapons, which are described as being very strong and helpful in the game. The page also includes a section about submitting game tips and secrets by postcard or fax to the magazine, outlining a reward system with different ranks and prize money for accepted submissions. The next page is an advertisement for the Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth, Complete Strategy Guidebook. This guide covers all aspects of the game, including basic action strategies and advanced techniques, score attack strategies, and stage-by-stage guides with boss strategies. It is a Dengeki Nintendo 64 Special Edition and was released on December 8th, with a price of 980 yen plus tax. This page is showcasing advertisements for various light novel series from Dengeki Bunko and Dengeki Game Bunko. At the top is an advert for the new light novel Roommate M, featuring the return of 17-year-old Ryoko Inoue, with details of other books in the Roommate series listed. Below, there's an advertisement for Degishirat 3. At the bottom is an advert for Ring of Red, a novelization of a Konami strategic game about a civil war in Japan fought with humanoid weapons in an alternate timeline after WW2. The side panels list several new light novel releases for November from Dengeki Bunko, including Wakakusa Baseball Club Rhapsody 2, Ishiki Ginga, Rebellion, Test School Garden Dwansark 7, Stardust Hero Chronicle 8, Double Breed IV, and Train Raider 3. These are primarily light novel promotions and don't directly feature N64 games. This page is from a magazine in January 2000 and covers Nintendo 64 news, including the temporary suspension of the Nintendo LandNet DD service. It mentions that service applications will be paused in October, and users should be reassured that the service will continue. The page discusses upcoming titles for the 64DD, highlighting Giant Robot Doshin 1 as a particularly noteworthy game, praising the director and mentioning famous creators involved. Sega is also in the news, considering releasing software for the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, moving away from only supporting their own consoles. This is considered a major shift for Sega. Sakura Wars is mentioned as a possible title, suggesting Sega games could appear on Nintendo handhelds. Finally, the page previews the Game Boy Color Zelda titles, The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, and The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages, announcing their simultaneous release in March. The titles and logos are revealed, with the Mysterious Seed and Essence of Time themes. The games will be priced at 3,800 yen each. The page also lists several upcoming or planned 64DD titles including Ultimate War, Kirabi, tentative, The Legend of Zelda DD tentative, DD Sequencer, tentative, DTDD version, tentative, Wall Street, tentative, Soundmaker, tentative, and Dazamon DD, tentative. This page is packed with news and promotions. There's a campaign for a game called SpaceNet, where you can win a Game Boy Color by solving a quiz. There's also news about the Pokemon movie, Spell of the Unknown, coming to DVD, and related merchandise in November. Lotteria is releasing a special Pokemon Osechi box, a New Year's meal set in a Pokemon-themed container, and you can also get a Game Boy Color Light accessory for playing in the dark, shaped like a Pokeball and Pikachu. The page also lists the top-selling games for the N64 and Game Boy chart. Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2, Pokemon Stadium 2, and Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, are at the top. The N64 popularity chart lists Mario Party 3, Banjo-Tooie, and Pokemon Stadium 2 as the most popular games currently. This page is a comic strip called Altus, which appears to be a humorous take on the Nintendo 64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth. The comic depicts characters discussing the game, referencing in-game elements like the gun sword and energy shots. There are also screenshots shown from Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth gameplay. The text at the bottom of the page mentions that Marina is the new editor and expresses affection for Nintendo characters like Shy Guy and Yoshi, and particularly loves the Super Famicom game Yoshi's Island. This magazine page features reader submissions and lighthearted content centered around a character named Mariko-kun. The page includes a series of panels depicting various scenarios involving Mariko-kun, often involving other female characters, with humorous dialogue and visual gags. Panels portray Mariko-kun as a figure of ambiguous heroism, with a Nintendo 64 connection. The page also includes calls for reader submissions in 2 sections. Oshiman's material encourages readers to send postcards, illustrations, and messages, particularly welcoming submissions from new contributors. Oshiman 64 announces a new editor, apologizes for delays, and includes reader submissions, including fan art and comments about Mariko-kun from different prefectures in Japan, highlighting the character's popularity and the creative community surrounding the magazine. The next page is an advertisement for the action shooting game Sin and Punishment. It highlights the game's focus on intense shooting action, where players are freed from item management and can concentrate on attacking enemies. The game features a story about the International Peace Organization's armed volunteers fighting against the surprise attack of a new species life form called Ruffian. It also mentions a rescue group, led by the mysterious Saint Athena. The game supports 12 players, and was released on November 21st with a suggested retail price of 5,800 yen. This page showcases the Nintendo 64 game Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Earth. The cover art features 3 anime-style characters, with one holding a gun, accompanied by the text, "Is this the punishment for the sins humanity has committed?" A smaller screenshot shows in-game action with the line, "Now, Saki, show me your power." The page clearly promotes this action shooter game for the Nintendo 64. This page is an advertisement for a couple of games. Firstly, it advertises Mercurius Pretty, described as a fantasy simulation game for Dreamcast, scheduled for release on November 16, 2000, at a price of 6,800 yen, excluding tax, mentioning a limited edition package. Secondly, it advertises Pia EU Koso 2.2 for Game Boy Color, an original trading card bundle slated for release on December 1st, Friday, at a price of 5,300 yen, also excluding tax. It's highlighted as a sequel to the Saturn game, Dia EU Koso 2. The advert also features character artwork from both games, and at the bottom, there is a mention of Senpre Mail Charm and their website.